Pain, terrible pain. The force is a continuing electrical charge. It's racking my body. This is another episode of the Flight Ringers podcast. I'm David King. That's Dan Spottswood.
It's good to be here. Thank you.
We are professional cartoonists, and we are Legion of Superheroes experts. Okay, Adventure Comics 319. 1964 is an old-ass comic book.
Right. It was published February 27th of 64. The cover date was April of 64. It's called the Legion's Suicide Squad. And this is actually...
there's no credits in this. I want to guess who did it because I'm not sure. I didn't look it up first.
This should become a new part of our show. We'll have to have like game show music in the background. And
I think it'll be relatively easy. I think it's Edmund Hamilton wrote it. And right. I think it's John Fort did the pencils, but I don't think he did the inks. He inks himself on some of these, but I think it is somebody else. How about Stan K? No, Klein, George Klein. Fuck. Who is it? You tell me.
It was inked by John Fort.
What?
Yeah.
Wow. All right. An auteur job by John Ford on this one, on the art.
Lettered by Milton Snappin. Is that a real name? Do you know?
I'm pretty sure that's that guy's real name. He did a lot of old comic books.
Kind of sounds like a porn name.
Milt snapping, unsnapping my pants.
Mm-hmm. But he only lettered the splash page in part 2. The first part is unknown.
Ooh, the unknown letterer. Who could that be?
Mysterious. So if you were that unknown letterer, now is the time to step forth in our comments.
Okay, come forward. You're 112 years old.
Yeah, now's the time. Weisinger, of course, is the editor. This is after actually the Suicide Squad was a thing in DC, but they kind of retired them by now. So likely just recycling the name, figuring no one remembers the other Suicide Squad.
The phrase Suicide Squad surely didn't originate with the Suicide Squad comic book, right?
DC didn't invent that.
I don't know. It sounds like whatever dog faces in World War II or something.
Right.
Come up with that.
I guess you're probably right.
And like these comics were probably all made by World War II veterans, or everybody knew somebody back then in 1964
right, for sure.
who was blown up in the war, who was cannon fodder for World War II for the U.S. imperialistic death machine.
Right. This issue kind of talks about empire a little bit.
It is kind of like that, isn't it? Yeah.
And capitalism.
The Legion becomes the police force for that, right?
Right. Protecting the capital of the owners.
Mm-hmm.
Like all good police do.
Even though they've got this great Golden Rule Bob Hope comic on the inside cover.
I know. Bob Hope known for being a very accepting person and the different races and religions. So one thing I wanted to point out while we're still towards the front. First of all, the cover. Yeah.
I'll flip back.
The first time I saw this, the first several times I saw this, it's a well-drawn cover, except I keep thinking the Legionnaires are getting hit by a shrink ray.
Oh, yeah, because
when I look at it more closely, I understand why they're smaller and in the background, but at a quick glance, it looks like they're getting shrunk. And probably the way they're so cleanly drawn and delineated and separated there, it makes them almost look like dolls. Probably added to that. But the other thing I wanted to say is it's sort of weird that we have the cover and then we have this first page, which also sort of functions like a cover in that we're seeing something mid-action, something to sort of tantalize us about the story within before we go all the way back to the beginning. It seems redundant. Like this makes sense, and they did this a lot when it's like a backup feature that doesn't have a cover. So the first page kind of functions as a cover, but they're doing it twice here, and I'm not sure why.
It's just the mode they're operating under, right? It's like you
Right,
do a splash page like this, and I suppose it's a possibility that they all
right,
know that they don't know whether they're going to be the lead feature or the backup
right.
feature in a thing like
Maybe
this.
so. Yeah, because when I was going through this to kind of write down what happened each page, it's like, oh, nothing's really happening here. It's I was writing it down all the same things I was writing it down about the cover. So it's like we get two covers.
Yeah. I mean, I wonder which. I think the cover of a robot fighting Colossal Boy is better. I mean, maybe that's just me, like, as a 21st century person who,
Right.
I don't know, like you see giants beating the hell out of each other. That sounds kind of cool. Robots
Right.
versus just another cover of Superboy, about to
Right.
die or whatever this is.
Yeah. The only note I made about page one is Colossal Boy getting his ass kicked by a giant robot.
Yeah. Not a super cool robot, but he's okay.
Yeah.
But yeah, the first page is a wash. There's no information on it, I guess. They
Mm-hmm.
they introduced the Legion down here for the first time reader, which is a
Mm-hmm.
good practice, I suppose.
For sure.
But then yeah, they get into the story. I didn't take any notes on this, by the way. I read it yesterday on the toilet. The only thing I was going to talk about was a ziggurat and the
Okay.
Tower of Babel, which I don't know anything about, basically.
Right. But I didn't really take any notes.
Yeah, okay, good.
Any good notes.
The plot of this one is that there's this planet out there that they're so xenophobic.
Isolationist.
They so don't
Yeah.
want to be part of any other um
Civilization. They don't
yeah,
want visitors. In fact, they
right.
just
They
explicitly say so. Like they're like, we hate all outsiders.
right. And so they build a ray that's going to it doesn't kill the people flying by them. It just crashes them, I guess, right?
It's like an EMP thing or something, right? Like it disables their ships die.
Yeah, but see, it happens to even just somebody going by, like not even a
Right.
potential visitor who's going to land there. You can get caught just flying by, like it happens to I think these guys. These
Well, right. Initially it's just passerbys, but then they up the ante and extend the EMP ray or whatever it is over such a large part of the universe that apparently like trade can no longer be done in the United Planets.
right, they've totally disrupted the economy of the United Planets,
Right.
and it's a whole civilization on this one planet. The entirety of the civilization lives in this ziggurat.
Ziggurat. What is that anyway?
It's this style of building a building that's like these kind of um, gradually smaller tiers.
Right.
I looked at it a little bit. I remember the
Mm-hmm.
word from grade school. I can't remember what kind of cultures did these all the time, but they
Okay.
say there's like the Tower of Babel, which is that ancient
Mm-hmm.
story about the
Of course.
languages, and that is a ziggurat where everybody on Earth lived on in the same ziggurat. They started to develop their own language, and God couldn't understand them or something.
I think they started to unionize, and God did not like that.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, yeah. They disrupted the economy.
right. So he had to split them all up and turn them against one another.
Mm-hmm. But anyway, the United Planets, which is symbolized by this clown with his funny
Mm-hmm.
hat, they're having so much trouble that they go to the Legion of Superheroes to get a little assistance of the superpowered variety to help them. I don't know, stop this ray.
The science police can't handle this. They need some help protecting the property.
Yeah, and what's kind of notable about this is the Legion is they're going to send out a small team of people, and they bring out the planetary chance machine. The planetary chance machine spins around and throws a model planet at somebody, and the guy who gets hit is going to be on the team. And I guess they do that 5 times to choose a random team. I don't know why they need to choose a random team for this.
You know, Brainiac 5 is probably one of my favorite. He's definitely in the top 10, maybe the top 5 of my favorite characters, but he's such an arrogant ass that I just love anything that cuts him down a peg or two every now and then. And that's immediately what comes to mind in this panel when that thing just clocks him in the head.
But he doesn't like they don't seem to have any animosity. Like this is how they choose their squad.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, the first planet flew off and struck me,
right.
of all people. And just the next panel says, the chosen ones are.
And speaking of Brainiac 5 being an ass, he goes directly into.
It's too dangerous for a girl. I must eliminate you. So, even though the random chance machine chose Supergirl or Saturn Girl, you're out. Sorry, dude.
No girls.
Yeah.
But to the writer's credit, she stands up for herself. She's like, "Eat shit. I'm coming."
Yeah, very progressive lady.
Mm-hmm.
And then the science police bring in 2 guys who have been to this planet before, in spite of all the complications. And one guy is a nerd, and one guy is an adventurer.
Traitor, right?
One guy's named Dr. James Bannon. He's an archaeologist, and they wouldn't let him on. And the other guy is Mr. Tim Vare. Right. He's a trader, Trader, trader.
Yeah, he's kind of a blue collar guy, and they're asking for his advice, and he's like, "You idiots, my advice is don't go."
Mm-hmm.
I was trying to figure out if Thrun is a very small planet or if the tower is just that big.
I think they call it a planetoid or a.
Because if you look how big the tower is on that drawing.
Yeah, Brainiac 5 calls it a planetoid, so it's
okay.
I guess it's just a rock floating out in space, so there's probably nothing on it. There's a little bit of foliage here, and there's a whole jungle and stuff, isn't there?
There is.
Well, I don't know what the difference is between a planet and a planetoid.
Size, right? I guess
that's all. Yeah, seems like a small planet.
Pluto got demoted to.
Is it planetoid?
I think so.
So these guys go out there. Superboy is like, I can take care of this. But they have some kind of red sun bullshit, and they take away his powers, and he eats shit out there in the jungle.
Which is always good. In my opinion, there should always be something restricting Superboy's limitless godlike powers to make the story more interesting. Though the way he lands there, you're like, how did he get back up? Looks like his neck is broken.
Yeah. Yeah, it's always kind of strange how, like, the kryptonite or red sun, like, it takes away his powers, but he still has powers. Like, you still can't kill him.
Yeah, it's pretty inconsistent. Like, I like this interpretation where, like, the red sun, like, immediately negates his powers, but a lot of times it's just he can't get any more, he can't recharge under the red. So he still has his powers for a little bit.
Right, he kind of gradually gets weaker.
Right.
And kryptonite, I think, is a lot of times is that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, this looks pretty dangerous, especially with all the I don't know what you call this, the effect of the crash effect around his head.
Right.
It looks real bad. Poor guy.
Right.
In this issue, they're using flight belts. They haven't got the flight rings yet.
Mm-hmm. Bouncing Boy probably is wearing 2.
Are you a fat phobic son of a bitch?
I'm not gonna body shame him. I love him. Superboy is getting nailed by this Aurora Borealis like meteor.
It's ball lightning, right?
Really
ball lightning.
Yeah.
This is kind of a good effect right here, where he's on fire, but it goes from red to yellow to purple.
Yeah,
it's kind of far out.
Yeah, just laying there unconscious, on fire.
And this is kind of a Hallmark John Fort panel of it's kind of a montage. Mm-hmm. Brainiac 5 is talking to the Legionnaires back in the clubhouse, I guess. Mm-hmm. And his signal goes to their rocket and then gets sent by antenna to the clubhouse, and
Yeah.
it's all just a single panel.
I I missed that the first time I read through. I love that.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, it's got that kind of diagrammatical, like old 50s ham radio ads and stuff would do stuff like that. It'd go
Yeah.
right to an antenna and to another.
Right.
Yeah, I like that.
It makes all that that long circuit look very short. Like, oh, you can
Right,
talk directly to your friend, even though the signal's
right.
traveling multiple galaxies
Hmm.
or whatever.
Hmm.
Anyway, the Legion, this first batch of Legionnaires, they're done. They don't make it.
Hmm.
Lightning Lad blasts a ton of electricity at the Citadel.
Hmm.
She must be shielded against lightning, he says,
Right.
and they catch him. Oh yeah, this panel has Monel's hair. That's something I noticed. He always has weird hair where
The
it's
comb
kind of
over.
it's kind of slicked back. Only there's this little loop, and I wonder if it's like it's another facet of his look that's like Superboy, but not quite Superboy. So instead of a curl,
I think, more than anything, they're probably just looking for a way to differentiate his head because so many DC guys look like that. And I can kind of see how you're saying it's slicked back here, but a lot of times it looks combed to the side with the one strand falling,
mm-hmm.
which makes it kind of look like a comb over in some issues. Not so much here.
I mean it's an impossible hairstyle.
Right.
Like he has to put a bunch of gel in that one piece to keep it from just like falling straight down.
So you think he's deliberately hanging it like that? It's not just falling.
It has to be. It has to be because like look at this panel. Like there's the part right here where you can
Mm-hmm.
see the blue among the black,
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
and then this piece goes like this, whereas all the other hair
Interesting.
is going back that way. It's going back that way, and there's this one piece.
I always figured it was the lead poisoning was causing some hair loss. And so he's just kind of
Oh, that
trying
piece
to
is
cover
always
it up.
just continually falling out.
Right. And no one wants to say anything.
Oh, another crazy thing is that Monel is actually back. Like at the beginning, they're like,
Right.
we only have Superboy. We're going to send him out in the first wave.
Right.
Monel's gone. Too bad. What a shame that Monel's gone because he and Superboy could fix this. And then they're out there, these five. Monel's back at headquarters, and all he can do is be like, oh, they got defeated.
Mm-hmm.
I hope I get selected by the planetary chance machine on the next round. Instead of just
This is
like,
a
just send him out. He's right
right,
there.
right.
Just send him out. I don't know why they didn't do that.
Well, there's it's a very common thing in these early issues, because he's so powerful that very, very frequently he is often space exploring, or he's on another mission, or he's on vacation. They always figure out ways to write him out of stories.
Right, but it totally defies logic that they got their most powerful guy. They were
Mm-hmm.
defeated. He's gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
And instead of like they're gonna send out another five, we know that.
Right.
But they could also send out one single guy who's just as powerful as this dude on their team who
Mm-hmm.
is dying right now. And they
Right.
don't do it. They're like, no, we gotta play by the rules. Wait for this fucking random chance machine to select
Right.
somebody. And it's gonna be
Well,
Shrinking Violet, it's gonna be Bouncing Boy, it's gonna
right.
be whatever the guy who mops the floor. And Monel, oh, he didn't get selected, he has to stay behind.
Right. Yeah, it's kind of like they wrote him out unnecessarily at the beginning and just brought him back because by having the random machine, you can get around the very logical idea of just sending your biggest guns. Because no, he didn't get hit by the planet.
It's dumb.
Yeah.
Like if they're gonna double blind like make sure
Right.
there's absolutely no way we can send Monel. Like just don't bring
Right.
him back. You don't have to put him in here.
I also like that since the first plan failed so spectacularly, they do it 2, maybe 3 more times, the
Mm-hmm.
exact same plan. Okay,
Yeah.
let's send like 7 more guys. 5 more guys.
Yeah. Well, the next page shows the substitutes on the charge of the
Right.
substitute heroes, but before we can get to the substitutes, you're right. There's a whole second team of real Legionnaires who go.
Mhm.
This time, Destiny selects Cosmic Boy, Ultra Boy, Triplicate Girl, Matter Eater Lad. I think they should have sent. They should have just chosen Matter Eater Lad, Bouncing Boy, Shrinking Violet. Uh, who else is weak? Just send out some weak people,
Right.
some cannon fodder people, some like low IQ infantry people. Should have sent
I
them
mean,
first.
like the subs. Send the subs. They always want to do something. Send them
Yeah, but
first.
they're not actually on the team. They're a guerrilla force.
Right.
But yeah, this planetary chance machine is kind of wacky. I don't know how they expect me to take this seriously.
It's almost as though they wrote this for a child.
Listen, I'm 45 years old. I really want a serious comic book that doesn't have any stupid stuff. Come on, Ed Hamilton.
Come on, man. Come on, man.
This time it looks like Mattery Lad eats out, if that's the right way to say it.
You're gonna have to cut that.
Mattery Lad eats the core out of an asteroid.
He's out an asteroid.
And then all the Legionnaires climb in it. They get all up in that asteroid. And they go down to Thrune. They are handily defeated by the Thrunians.
Right.
Here's the cover image redrawn.
Oh,
Superboy's
right.
like, keep away. And they're like, no, we can't.
Yep.
We're in this asteroid in spacesuits.
I do really like them flying inside the asteroid, whether it makes sense or not. With the like
It's
the cutaway.
Oh, does it show a cutaway? I flipped over too fast. Oh yeah, that's nice. And they're in spacesuits. Why are they in spacesuits?
Well, that's a funny thing because if you look at the third panel on the page, they make a point like we can take our suits off. We don't need our suits and helmets, so we can work here. And then 2 panels later, they put them back on.
Oh yeah, there's air here. We don't need helmets.
Right.
Inside that thing, inside this protective thing, there's no air, I guess. I don't know. Ed Hamilton's he's kind of asleep at the wheel on this one.
Yeah. Yeah.
He had like 3 novels to write this month, I guess.
Right. And John Ford, he did. I mean, I don't know what his schedule was like, but he did another full story the same month. A Jimmy Olsen issue.
Oh really?
Yeah. Inked it too.
Dude was fast. These 50s and 60s guys,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, they didn't give a fuck. They didn't need an inker.
Yeah. They would just get it done. Or like the strip guys call it like gag her down, just like get it done.
You know, Jim Aparo, he never had
Yeah.
inkers. He didn't even have a letterer. He did it all.
Probably in pencil and just went right into.
He just did month after month of fucking Batman comic books. Did the whole
Mm-hmm.
works. It's like Bob Haney. I don't know. I
Mm-hmm.
don't know who wrote those. Who wrote those? Jim Starlin, Jim Aparo, or whoever wrote those '90s ones when I was a kid.
Mm-hmm.
Just 2 guys. Jim Aparo, he did all the heavy lifting. Are they trying to do like a Trojan horse thing with this asteroid?
Well, it's kind of like a Trojan horse thing. Of course, they're not going into the actual
Yeah, they're just trying to get through the
port.
defenses by being an asteroid instead of a spaceship, right?
Of course, since they're flying via Ultra Boy's power, they don't really have to worry about their ship being disabled. So it's a little silly in that
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah, they could have put him in anything, right? Matter Letter, he just wanted to eat out something.
Yes, yes, he was hungry.
Oh, but the second group of Legionnaires, for whatever reason, they're in the asteroid, but they are defeated by the Citadel's power.
Yeah, they're just taken out in like one panel, right?
It sure looks like it, like right here.
Right.
Starboy's frozen.
Yeah.
It's a freezing ray. That's what's on the cover. You thought it was a
Cold
shrinking ray. It's a
pain,
freezing ray.
freezing
He
ray.
can't move his muscles.
Seems like that would be a very useful ability, not one that you would disqualify and send to the subs,
Oh shit.
generating tremendous cold.
Yeah, it's a good power, huh? You could really take out an enemy with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, this second five Legionnaires, they're done. They're frozen.
Mm-hmm. This is how things rolled before Cosmic Boy was the leader. And just let's try that one more time, the exact same way. Third time's the charm.
You're talking up all these failures to leadership, huh? Like Cosmic Boy, he wouldn't have done that. He would have like just chosen a team instead of letting the stupid random chance machine choose the people that go on the mission.
Maybe it's a similar machine that is gaming out their strategy as well, and just telling them to
Right,
do the
right.
same thing over and over again. It's on the fritz.
Yeah, they're just relying on their artificial intelligence.
Right,
You know, they got a fire guy who could burn up the citadel. They got a
right,
giant who could destroy
right,
the citadel by stepping on it. They
right.
got two super strong dudes who could, whatever, they could do both of those other things with their heat vision and their super punches. Nah.
And their resident super genius strategist was, bonked on the head on the first page, and he was in charge. Wasn't didn't it deem him the leader
Yeah, what happened to
of the
him?
mission?
How come he didn't make it past the first stage of this mission? Stupid idiot.
They should have put like red marks on all their foreheads through the whole story,
Yeah,
like
these guys
bruises from the planets
are.
bonking them.
Oh, yeah,
And
little
maybe
bandages. Like the little exo bandage.
and maybe it hit him too hard and he's not as bright as he normally is.
Yeah, definitely down to like fourth level intelligence in this
Right.
issue. But Monel is finally going out there.
Mm-hmm.
He gets taken out.
Right. And he makes a point to,
A lead bullets or something. They just shoot him with a shotgun, I
well,
guess.
yeah, and like a couple panels before, he makes some mention about how he doesn't have to worry about lead anymore. Um, he also points out that he doesn't have to worry about the red sun taking him out, and I did not know that was the case.
But whatever. The Citadel or the aliens in the Citadel of Doom,
Right. I
they
guess he
take
says
him
a
out.
chemical gas has neutralized the antidote,
Yeah, the lead
but
antidote
apparently not
is
enough to kill him because in the past it's been so severe that he had to go to the Phantom Zone.
right. The way lead affects him is different
Mm-hmm.
every time.
Right.
Sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it affects him instantly.
Right, but not fatally
That's
like
right.
that first
Yeah.
time.
And now Colossal Boy shows up and fights the robot from that way back, the splash panel.
He was ordered to stay back and grow, right?
Yeah, he held back.
But you stay behind long enough to make yourself huge, Colossal Boy. Make yourself huge.
I like these two panels of him fighting the robot. Like they look, it seriously looks like
Yeah.
a newspaper comic strip, like not an
Yeah.
adventure newspaper comic strip, but like it looks like Booty Rogers or like a Buck Rogers, Calkins kind of like
Right.
where it's like this kind of just straight on perspective. You know, they just look like
Mhm.
two regular height guys fighting. They don't. He hasn't done anything to
Yeah.
make them look giant. They're just like two big guys.
Yeah. The one on page 6 on the right bottom, I was looking at that. It's like, I want to redraw that. It's really great.
This one, where he's like got his hand on the robot's face.
Yeah, they're where they're grappling.
Yeah, yeah, it's a good pose. Like he's just diving
Hmm.
in. He's like gonna take out that robot, but the robot gets the upper hand, of course, and punches him out.
It
Uh,
reminds me of the little Abner guy.
Al,
Al Cap.
Al Cap. He was a shithead. He's a right winger piece of shit, like a lot of comic book fans are.
You're right. Well, yeah, yeah, and a lot of those old timers.
He hated the hippies. They just
Mm-hmm.
wanted to have free love. He wanted paid love that it builds up the economy.
So this is longer than I thought it was. I miscounted.
It's like the typical length, but just nothing happens and it's boring. It's like
Right.
kind of it's really shallow. Like there's certain density in a lot of these adventure issues,
Hmm.
but that doesn't happen in this one. But I think it is a little shorter. I think those shooter ones we looked at with the Mordru, those fill up the whole issue, and this one has a
Right.
Superboy
He was
backup in
like
it.
he was like writing a graphic novel basically
Yeah,
in
especially
those.
that Mordru thing that went over 2 issues, which was
Right.
yeah, that's like 60
Right.
pages or
That's what
something.
I mean. Yeah.
But we're at the point now where the substitute heroes back on Earth, back in the clubhouse, decide like
Hmm.
we're gonna do it now, or they become the focused guerrilla fighting unit that they were born to be, and they go out to planet Thrune,
Hmm.
and they're gonna rescue the Legionnaires. The Legion, there's right now there's 10 Legionnaires who failed this mission.
Aren't there three batches? Aren't there 15?
Is there 15? You might be
Okay, you're
right.
the first batch is with Superboy, right? So then they send the second wave. That was the one with wait a minute.
Yeah, I think actually, I thought
I
there
don't know.
was
Now I've
yeah.
lost.
Yeah, now that I'm going
Maybe you're
through it.
right.
Because the first wave was these guys, Chameleon Boy, Bouncy Boy, Saturn Girl, Brainiac 5, Lightning Lad.
Hmm.
And then the second wave is these jokers, um, Starboy, Cosmic Boy, Ultra Boy, Duo Damsel, Mad
Hmm.
Reader Lad, because he's eating out the asteroid.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's wave 2. So now we're down 10 Legionnaires.
Okay.
And yeah, for some reason, this other batch of Legionnaires, I guess they're on their way out, huh? Oh, yeah, there is a third
Right.
batch. You're right.
Right. Well,
Here's the third batch with Monel, Sunboy,
right.
Lightning Lass, Colossal. Oh, this batch is 7 Legionnaires. That wipes them all out. There's 17 Legionnaires.
Right.
They're all gone. And the Legion of Substitutes is like, well, it's up to us now. And I think they're kind of like predisposed to be like, we're probably gonna die on this one, but we're gonna do what we can because we're the backup.
The substitute heroes whose powers are not enough to earn them a place in the real Legion.
Check out what they do to the Citadel of Doom, man. Polar Boy's freezing it like there's ice growing on it.
Right.
Fire Lad is, I mean, he's, I guess,
Not he's
burning the ice.
he's not using his powers right, is he?
In this one, yeah, I think usually he blows flame out of his mouth.
I am used to seeing it coming out of his mouth. That was the weird, like the setback to his power or whatever. Like he's not really like the Human Torch or something. He can he can blow fire, but that's it. And you better not be around him if he sneezes, you know.
Right.
Um, and when you look at it that way, like it makes sense that Polar Boy would end up on the real Legion because his powers don't really have like it doesn't really make sense that he's there. If
Mm-hmm.
Sun Boy can be on the team, Polar Boy can be on the team. But all the other guys have there's something a little off about their powers. Like I'm super strong, but only at night.
Yeah.
Though in this, she is more than that. She is basically like Superman, Superboy, and Mon-El at night, which is pretty neat.
Oh, like she has all those kind of powers,
She has all the powers.
and she stays behind, right? Or she goes.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. This is sort of sold as the subs save the day, but really they fail just as badly as everyone else. It is Night Girl who saves the day.
Yeah.
And it's a pretty fun, like kind of silver agey way of doing it. She goes all the way around the planet to where it is dark out, where she has her powers, and then burrows through the center of the planet.
And all that burrowing doesn't mess up her hair.
Right, super strong hair. When she gets up into the castle, which Apparently, her power's still working there because she's not exposed to the sun. She says the lead line partitions keep me from seeing with my X-ray vision.
Yeah, I thought
And
she was just strong, but now she
right.
has X-ray vision, and
I actually like that idea. It makes her a little better, I think. Like because it's already very limited, but like I don't know, just it's more interesting if she becomes extremely powerful under these very rare circumstances instead of like, well, she's kind of strong when it's at night.
you would think that maybe a Brainiac 5 would have some attraction to her if she's like Supergirl after dark.
Right. Right. Well, he builds robots for that, David.
He could build a dozen Supergirl robots that have
Mm-hmm.
the same Supergirl powers all the time, but who don't have the warmth of a living human body.
Right.
Brainiac 5 doesn't want that anyway. He's a cold, calculating
I think
machine.
he loves the idea of Supergirl. He likes to
Yeah.
read about her in the history books, but
Right. He's just
doesn't
a
really.
fanboy.
Mm-hmm.
So she burrows through the planet and she comes up through the underneath of the Citadel of Doom. And
It's Don Knotts and Andy Griffith,
yeah, it's
circa
just
1988.
two old fucks. It's not a whole civilization of people. It's just two old dudes who don't want any visitors. Like I know some old dudes like
No,
this.
stay off
Yeah.
my lawn, stay off my planet.
And like what's on this TV is like Fox News and this one is
Yeah,
OAN,
you're watching golf. Hmm. Hmm.
And like you young kids, you fucking woke mob, stay off of my planet.
Well, they are a little paranoid. Like they don't want anyone to know it's just the two of them. Like anyone has any interest in conquering them. I guess
I
taking their resources. I guess.
But they're on a planetoid. It's not even a whole planet.
Right.
There's nothing there but a freaking ziggurat and these two old dudes. They have nothing. It's just a
Hmm.
planet that ships fly over.
Right.
It's like if you were like you had a patch of desert right by the highway in New Mexico, and you're like, "What? Stop driving by my patch of desert. I'm gonna blow
Right.
up the freeway." And like no more whatever self-driving semi trailers are driving by here,
Right. Right.
waking up my dogs.
Do you think? Yeah, they don't want UFOs landing on their gardens. Do you think like they're sort of the classic kind of Star Trekky kind of would they the last two of a dying race, or were they just like two practical jokers? There was never a whole race of people.
I think they must be symbolic of the older generation.
Hmm.
And that's
Hmm.
what Ed Hamilton is feeding us. He's going a little sci-fi. He's getting a little real with the sci-fi. This is his one single big sci-fi idea is
Interesting.
to have these two old codger pieces of shit who they're defeated
Yeah.
by the younger generation. They're closed
At,
off,
as he
and they
works at a comic company that is almost exclusively old people, not
right.
wanting the
He,
young upstarts to come
this is
like they are over at Marvel.
this is the one thing he slipped by Mort in favor of the hippie generation, which
Right.
I don't know if that hasn't really started yet. It's a little early for that, but he's
The hippies.
he's a liberal thinker. I know he is. I know Ed Hamilton is. He's not Al Cap, you know.
Right. Right.
He's into gender equality. He's into big ideas and being on the
Yes.
right side of the history. That is Edmund Hamilton. The comic book industry, DC Comics, fucks like Mort Weisinger and Jack Adler and
Right.
Donenfeld. Like, yeah, those guys are squares. They're businessmen.
Right.
He's trying to tell those guys a little something that
He believes the children are the future.
totally. That's what Legion of Superheroes is all about.
That's right. That's right.
Teach them well and let them lead the way, with Cosmic Boy as their leader, preferably.
How long did Edward Hamilton live? Did he make it to the 70s? Did he die during this period? I know Fort did not make it.
Oh, he outlived Fort. Yeah.
He was already kind of old by this point, right?
I think so.
Hamilton?
Yeah. He was writing pulps and stuff back in the 40s.
Weisinger's age then, probably, right?
Yeah. He and Weisinger are contemporaries
Mhm.
to a degree. He might have even been a little bit older than Weisinger, but yeah, those guys are from the old days. Weisinger was a fan, a pulp sci-fi fanzine maker, I guess.
Mhm.
While Hamilton was like pro.
Well, that's kind of like Jack Kirby and Stan Lee. Stan Lee was a kid when Kirby was actually making comics for Marvel. Stan Lee was a little punk kid who wanted to
Yeah.
get into comics.
Yeah, I was about to liken it to something like Roy Thomas and Stan Lee,
Uh-huh.
but I think maybe Weisinger and Hamilton are a little bit closer in
Right.
age.
So, yeah, this guy, he kicked off in 77.
Hamilton.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. That's crazy.
Night Girl shows up in the headquarters of Don Knotts and Andy Griffith and
Right, right.
destroys their computer and their things. But the one dude's like, it's a girl with mighty power. Please don't hurt us.
We just wanted to keep all these hippies off our lawn.
Two old men, and yet they conquered the Legion of Superheroes.
They should have arrested these old goats.
Nah, these Zoomers, they're like, these old fucks, they're gonna die soon. Just leave them
Yeah,
out there. Screw them. They can't do it. They don't even know how to use their smartphones.
right, right.
Like they got 40 tabs open.
This can be their new headquarters in a couple of years.
Yeah, the ziggurat, this Tower
Yep.
of Babel, where they can use their telepathic earplugs and keep secrets from God. At last, the substitute heroes are receiving the great welcome they deserve, and we're glad to stand on the sidelines and cheer them. Yeah, the substitute heroes saved the day by defeating these two old dudes.
Night Girl, especially. But I guess the others were kind of in on it. Like they were the diversion while she
Right.
went around to the other planet.
Right. They provided cover with actually their good superpowers.
Yeah.
And I think the power that Stone Boy didn't do shit as usual.
Yeah, it's funny because they explain in that panel where they're launching their offense, their assault or whatever. They're saying they describe what each one of them does, and then it gets to Stone Boy, and they're like, oh, and Stone Boy is just sitting there.
He says Stone Boy is turned into stone, so their weapons
Mhm.
won't affect him.
Right, he doesn't have anything else to do.
But I thought the chlorophyll kid power, where he grows giant trees out of the ziggurat,
Yeah, that's very
that's
useful.
that's kind of
Like
far
he's
out.
probably tearing that building apart with those.
Yeah. Like just
Yeah.
thinking about the way the trees are eventually going to crush my sewer pipes in my house, and it's going to
Yes.
cost like $8,000 of damage. Chlorophyll Kid could make that happen tomorrow if he wanted.
In more recent interpretations of Stone Boy, he can just turn into, he can still move, right? I like him when he's just frozen like a statue. But then like one of the characters with strength and like pick him up and just throw him while he's frozen. Just use him as a blunt object on people.
Well, and doesn't he also like stay in stone form for like a certain duration of time? It's not like he can come out of it. Like he doesn't switch from human to stone and then he's like, "All right, I'm done being a stone now." It's like he's a stone for 24 hours or something.
Well, it added kind of an interesting backstory to it, right? Like maybe they have like meteors or something, cosmic rays hitting their planet or something, so they evolved the ability to like turn into statues to protect themselves until.
Oh yeah, here it is. This is who's who in the Legion of Superheroes.
Mhm.
It says his planet Zwen rotates so slowly that the nights are over 6 Earth months long. Consequently, the colonists of that world developed the ability to transform into a dormant stone state and hibernate for the duration of the sunless period. When the sun returns, they thaw and reawaken.
Well, that's silly. Then they miss a huge opportunity there. But I guess then he'd be way too limited. Like, why isn't he just turning into stone at night?
Well, he turns into a stone for 6 months.
Oh yeah. He's all right though.
First appearance, Adventure Comics 306. A mere
Yes.
13 issues prior to this.
I like the subs. If I had my way, like all the Legionnaires would have worthless powers.
I really think there ought to be more worthless powers.
I think the X-Men were originally written kind of that way. Their powers, they've kind of like amped up their powers over the years, but early on, all of their powers were like Iceman and all those guys weren't that impressive, at least compared to other superheroes at that time. And the idea was these five, if they manage to work together, they're the equal of like one competent superhero. Like Cyclops' beam would if it hit you, it's just like getting punched. It didn't like burn through things. And
well, and there's that one cover, maybe it's even X-Men #1, where Iceman is like throwing snowballs at
he's
somebody.
throwing snowballs. That's right. He threw snowballs. Yeah, all their powers were very. Yeah, Angel has wings. That's cool, but he's just like flying around.
Yeah, and Beast, the early Beast, where he's just like he's kind of an acrobat, is all he is, right?
Right. He's sort of a ape man.
Yeah.
I actually like that version better than the later one, but I think he's a little more unique. Make him look more like Wolverine and like 47 other characters.
And that's the end of that story.
Yep.
So that was Adventure Comics 319. Pretty good one. Not much to it. Yeah,
long live the Legion.